Hey fam, it's your boy Pop Pop. It's coffee with your boy Pop Pop. And today is Martin Luther King's birthday. A man who tried to stitch the world together in reconciliation. And they weren't they weren't ready for him. Not that anybody seems to be ready right now as the world is tearing itself apart. But it's worth taking time today to give the man recognition for trying. And in a great many ways, he succeeded, but he was surrounded by people with ulterior motives who wanted to pull him this way and that way and misuse and abuse his ministry in order to reach their own goals. Very evil people who surreptitiously worked in the background to thwart pretty much everything that Dr. King had tried to accomplish. Case in point, the one lady, I call her Hillary. Hillary going into a church. I'm surprised the water in the baptismal didn't start to boil. Going into church and ripping off a Cleveland quote saying, "I ain't in no ways tired." You know, she dons a southern accent, rips off a Cleveland quote. "I ain't in no ways tired," like I'm working for you. I'm working for you. And they're very clever. They couch black genocide as a woman's reproductive rights. The black population in America is still only 11% or 13% of the entire population of America after decades, no growth whatsoever. 80% of black and mixed race babies, 80% of the babies that are aborted are black and mixed race babies, scraped out of a woman's belly like seeds out of a pumpkin. And they're very clever in how they lead people with words. Words are very powerful. You figure God used words to frame this world. And so they're essentially telling a woman, well, your baby has no future, so you might as well abort it. And the ironic thing about these people, I watch them on the animal channels. They'll crawl on their belly in the dirt to rescue a dog out of a sewer tunnel. But a human baby, oh, that's too much trouble. Just go ahead and abort it. And they call it a fetus. The only thing fetus means is little one. That's all fetus means, little one. And they do everything very cleverly with words because they figure that they lost the battle. They lost the battle in gumming up civil rights. So they move on to using the media and cleverly disguised words to get people to do what they want, which is to cull their population. Hillary called young black men super predators. Uncle Joe, you know Uncle Joe, the person who's leading our country to the precipice of WW3, when he said that 45 would be the one who did it, and it turns out that he's doing it. Uncle Joe said that he didn't want his kids growing up in a racial jungle, in the jungle. And you all keep voting these people back into office over and over and over again. It just amazes me. It just amazes me. Uncle Joe and Nancy, every time they hit the podium, they say what good Catholics they are, and they use terms, God bless you, God bless America. God doesn't bless the mess, fam. We are under judgment right now because of these people. So it just amazes me how people, my generation, wouldn't buy into this stuff. Because if somebody tried to sell us a bill of goods, my generation was the ain't necessarily so generation. Prove it. Like the Berean Christians, they would listen to a sermon and then they would check it against the Gospels to see if what the person was saying lined up with the Gospels. If it lined up, they accepted it. If it didn't, they rejected it. But see, people have no basis of knowledge they have no frame of reference now because they have no basis of knowledge, no anchor. Like I said, George Wallace used the National Guard to keep black children out of schools. And eventually he lost, and he came to a very bad ending. But he was a Democrat. Hillary said that Senator Baird, or Byrd, whatever his name was her mentor. He was a Klansman and a Democrat. So you can't get hung up on either side of either party in this spiritual battle. It's a spiritual battle. Because being as the devil can't get at God, the only thing he can do is try and hurt God's children. So that way he reaches out at the heart of God to snatch away God's children. And unfortunately, at the moment, it seems that he's doing an excellent job of it. But these people, like I said, they're devious with their words, and they know how to motivate people. They know to keep people poor and on the public dole. They know to keep families broken up because the man is supposed to be the high priest and the head of the family. The woman is supposed to be the homemaker and protector. And see, that ended in World War II when all of the Rosie the Riveters went into the factories to help build the planes and the tanks and everything else needed to win WW2. So after the women flooded into the workforce, they never ever came back home, so to speak. But and I don't fault any woman for doing what she wants to do or what she feels she has to do, in the light of the fact that pretty much half of the households are unwed, and the father of the children, the baby daddy, is nowhere to be seen. And these guys, they'll tell a young girl, "Oh, baby, I'm your man, Can't we do it without protection? I'm your man. Why do we need to use protection? I'm the only guy with you." And then the girl gets pregnant, and then she goes to the guy and she says, "Guess what?" And he says, "I don't want to hear that. You go to the clinic and you handle your business." It always is your business when it turns out that the girl is pregnant. So then she'll go to the clinic, and the clinic will be like, "Well, here in Baltimore or here in Detroit, there's no future for your baby, so you might as well, you're doing the right thing in terminating your baby." And then what the girl doesn't know is they keep the body parts and they sell the body parts. You know, they're so evil. You know, it's all about money. They sell the body parts to laboratories and hospitals and everything for stem cells and whatever, and organs and whatever else they can use the body parts for. And that's actually in the Bible. The Bible foretold a day when people would do wicked things in the name of good to try and validate themselves by doing evil and then saying, well, it's for a good cause. So that's why God can't bless America now. God can't bless America because we've spit in his face so many times. And if people would just understand, that if you pray, God will provide. You know, I've had miracle after miracle after miracle. When I lived in South Baltimore, I didn't have 2 dimes to rub together. I needed some groceries. And I very quietly sat in my living room and asked God for groceries. I told him what I needed. And it wasn't loud enough that any neighbor could have heard me. And literally about 20 minutes after I finished praying, there was a knock at the door and 3 bags of groceries. And it was almost everything that I had asked for. And see, that's where faith comes in, because I opened up the bags and I said, well, this is almost what I prayed for. So is this of God, or is this God moved God moved on somebody's heart to bring this stuff by? You know, and when I opened up the door, there was nobody there. So that's when it becomes a matter of faith. But I've had that kind of thing happen over and over and over again. But there are other populations in America that are growing like gangbusters because they're not aborting their children. The Hispanic population in America is the number one leading population as far as a growth factor in America is concerned. Not that I have anything against it. My family is a blended family. We have pretty much 50% Hispanic. I would say maybe 5 or 10% African American, and then the rest of my family, the older part of the family, is European. So in any case, when I would go over to my sister's for Christmas, you know, part of the family would be like, hey, ¿qué pasa? Feliz Navidad. And part of the family would be like, hey, what's up? And then the stuffy older part of the family would be like, well, Merry Christmas. You know, that type of thing. But in any case, getting back to Dr. King, he tried to stitch people together and to get people to put down their differences. And that was enough that they considered him to be a threat. You know, because of this global WAR machine that's operating even as I speak. But like I said, these people are very evil, and they decided that even though they had lost the battle, they were still going to win the war. And that's why media plays out over and over again, pounding our families, pounding our children, that there is no hope, there's only apocalypse, and there's no future. And fam, I'm telling you that as long as you quiet yourself and you get alone with God, He will give you the desires of your heart as long as they line up with His word. But don't ever trust these people in Washington, because what they give, they can take away. Pop out.